Hey, good evening, everybody, and welcome. Thanks for joining. If you're watching this now live or you're watching it on a replay, I just want to take this opportunity and welcome you all and say thank you for joining me this evening. This is Clanton Connect. I started my very first one last month. And after talking with my team and just kind of really looking at my personality as a person and always trying to engage and give information and to also have a dialogue back and forth with individuals, we are deciding to actually run this every Sunday evening at 7 p.m. So starting next Sunday, we were planning to do it this current Sunday, but of course with the storms and everything, kind of made it a little unstable with the internet. But even if there are a Sunday going forward that we can't particularly get on live, we'll record this and also make sure that it's out there. But for those who are joining who don't know me, I'm Carlos Clanton. I am candidate for Super Ward 7 Norfolk City Council. I'm currently an elected member of the Norfolk City School Board representing Ward 3. And we'll talk a little bit more because some of you all may not know what Super Ward 7 actually entails. And so we're going to go through that. But we have a great, what I hope to be about a good solid 30 minutes. But going forward, we'll also have guests that'll join us, individuals who actually endorse and support my message and support my platform will also be joining us as we go forward. And we'll be talking about a myriad of different topics, priorities that you all as members of the community have helped to share. To provide to me. So again, welcome to everybody. You also have an opportunity, before I forget, if you're watching on YouTube or you're watching on Facebook, in the comment section, feel free. If you have a question about something or something you want me to address or bring up, you can place it in the chat and I'll be able to bring that up at a time. And we'll have a Q&A section in each one of these lives. And it'll give me an opportunity to be able to share and to begin to have that dialogue. I'm trying to reach as many individuals within our community. I'm a transparent individual. I want to engage. I want to hear your concerns, hear your thoughts, your suggestions, and to see how we might be able to best implement those things. And most importantly, how we can advocate to support your life. So look, one of the things that I also want to share is that we're changing the name a little bit. I know I've got Clanton Connect engaging Norfolk's residents. And to be perfectly honest, I went on and began to talk about that. And I was like, you know what? I'm not just engage. Engage is almost a one-way streak. But reality is that I'm an advocate. I've been advocating for my community as I can remember as a teenager, trying to make it better. As I travel across this country, representing and being involved in many different things, I always advocate for my home. I advocate for Norfolk. I'm serving on the Norfolk City School Board. I advocate for our students. When I was director of the Chamber of Commerce, advocating for business. So going forward, you will be seeing this. This will be Clanton's Connect. Advocating for Norfolk's residents. And this will be an opportunity for us to be able to share. Ultimately, what I consider being your next city council member is building relationship with the members of our community, and not just one segment. Norfolk is such a diverse place. Being able to listen, whether or not I agree or whether or not, religious, whatever, it does not matter. If you're going to be the elected representative, you have to be willing to sit down and listen. And then most importantly, be willing to find common ground. And that's one of the things that differentiates me. That's as a leader who's willing to sit down, no matter where you are. If we have different political opinions or a myriad of things, but how can we work together? So with that, I just wanted to share a couple things that are upcoming. So we're going to go through here. There'll be upcoming events. There's some things that I really want to invite you all out to, and as well as to make you aware of. And so that first thing is that, of course, we're changing this name, and I want to encourage each and every one of you all tune in every Sunday, 7 o'clock. If you miss me, don't worry. It'll be on our website as well as it'll be on our social media platforms. But Clanton Connect, advocating for Norfolk's residents, and that's every Sunday at 7 o'clock. So go ahead and tune that in, lock that in, okay? The next thing is that I have an upcoming mixer. I am very focused on reaching people and going places that people don't normally go. But I also want to bridge the gap. One thing about me as a candidate, I'm more focusing on how do I bridge the gap between our younger generation that's coming in and even individuals who are moving transient, who are coming in from other places. Young professionals, as a lot of people remember me, I was president of the Urban League of Hampton Roads Young Professionals, the award-winning Urban League of Hampton Roads Young Professionals. Some of my folks will get me, but we were always getting folks who would come in. And if you live in Norfolk, so it's very rare that you find somebody who's a Norfolkian who actually was born and raised right here. But I was born and raised Park Place, Lamberts Point, right in Norfolk. So what this mixer is that I want to bring people together. let's talk. Let's build community. Let's share different ideas. Let's talk about the different things that are going on, and so that we can become better, so that we can become more informed, and then most importantly, so that we can build a sense of community. So going forward, we're kicking off my very first one. This will be this Wednesday, July the 3rd. It'll be at 5 o'clock. As soon as you get off work, so before you start and get ready for your 4th of July weekend, come on down to Ordinaire. It's at Plume Street. It's where the old Brothers Steakhouse used to be. And we'll be located right on the second floor. And so I invite all of you to come out, have a great time. And if you have never met me before, this is an opportunity to come in. Come meet me, engage, have conversations, and share information. And let's have a great time. So, one of the other things that moving forward we're going to really be focused on is community resources. And so I'm going to be sharing various different things that are coming up, various different programs, activations that are going in the community. And so we're going to start that this Sunday. Community resources be an opportunity for you to grab that information. But today I just wanted to kind of share this one resource. And this one is about two things. What is Superward 7? Because many of you all probably don't know what Superward 7 actually encompasses. And so I wanted to kind of break that down for you. But to let you know that I am placing a page on my website that will actually, you'll be able to find your neighborhood, but most important, you'll be able to register to vote. If you're not registered or if you've moved, and you need to get that done, we want to make sure that your voice is heard, not just for my election. I'm a local election, but we have presidential, we've got congressional, we have in Virginia. I was sitting there talking to somebody the other day. We literally have an election every November. But this should be like clockwork, that we're ready to get out there and engage. And so there are many different ways of being able to register to vote. And I'll talk about that in a little section. But you can actually go to my website, and there's a button where you can check your registration just to make sure that you're up to date, and to make sure that you're ready to go this November. But what you're seeing right now is a map of Superward 7. And as you can see, Superward 7 goes all the way up almost to Willoughby. It kind of crosses, takes some area that comes down around the base there, and then it hits the Titustown area. And if you kind of look at it, and then it goes to Wesley, and you kind of see that line that goes around there, that where would literally be Little Creek Road. And then it comes back over, hits Rosemont. And then if you think about it, it goes all the way over to the airport and comes all the way down to the southernmost part of the city, around Easton and Riverwood, just before you hit Chesapeake. And then it goes over to Compostela, Berkeley, and it comes back up. And that's a great portion of Super Ward, well, not Super Ward, but Ward 3 that are currently represented. So you've got Booker T. Washington, Norfolk State, and then it comes all the way up Young Park, Lindenwood, and then it spikes over to Lambert's Point, Park Place, and then it goes back up the middle part of the city again. So if you're ever wondering, you can go to my website. You'll be able to see this, but there's a special page. Hey, am I part of Super Ward 7? I know you'll see a lot of these things, Ward 3, Super Ward 7, Super Ward 6, and you're probably asking that question, am I in that ward? So this is an opportunity for you to be able to figure that out. But then after you've done that, the next most important thing is, are you registered to vote? And so I want to make sure that you are registered to vote. And if you go to my website, you can actually get that information. You can actually go in and find out whether or not you're registered to vote. And I'm going to pull that up for you. If you go to my website, you can actually find that information. So you can follow us on social media. But if you go to Carlos Clanton, the number 4 Norfolk.com, you can actually find out whether or not you're registered to vote. You can also find out your precinct information. And then you can find out a lot of more information about my platform, my priorities, why I'm running, a little bit about my experience as an elected official, but most importantly, as a public servant. I really don't like being called a politician. I'm not a politician. I serve genuinely out of my heart. I've always had a heart of service. My grandmother taught me as a kid growing up, it was better to give than receive. And that is something that I've taken with me. So I'm going to let that keep going there for a little while there. But I definitely want you to check out, share with your friends and family, your neighbor, your church member. Find out. We need to get out and we need to vote, and we need to vote in strong numbers this coming November. A lot of things are at stake, not just here locally, but also nationally. You always hear about the national elections, and there will be a lot of that. But when it comes to local, you have the mayoral election that's up. We're also voting for the Super Ward 6, the Super Ward 7, and there's a special election in Ward 5 for school board. And so there's a lot of things that are happening there. So you want to make sure that you're registered to vote and make sure that you are being engaged, that your voice is heard this coming November. So look, my campaign is theme is shaped by service, committed to community. And I kind of shared a little bit about that. When I think about why I serve, anybody knows me, I am not chasing fame. I'm not chasing likes. I'm not chasing, having a title. I genuinely am an individual who is shaped by service. I believe in servant leadership. That how do I serve the people who have placed me there? How am I working to try to make the lives of others better? I believe wholeheartedly that when we give, we then can give back to ourselves in that respect, just the joy of seeing others benefit. When I was a young professional, and there's some who are out there who remember, we had created an organization called the Talented 10th. And I really believed in that respect with based off of W. Du Bois, in that respect that as an African American in our community, as you gained education, gained experience, gained opportunity, that you had a responsibility to give back to your community, to create to open doors and create opportunities for others. And so that is what has been really my mantra. It's being about how do we create opportunities within our community. So that's where that committed to community. How my service, how I continue to serve, is dedicated to helping other people. And that's what you can expect from me as your next city council member representing Super Ward 7, an individual who is dedicated day in and day out to listening to the community, to getting the information, getting the facts together, engaging the community to ensure that you understand what's going on in the process so that you can be better a part of that process and ultimately making change and moving things forward for the betterment of all of our citizens here in Norfolk. So my campaign's heartbeat is really about service. It's about community. And most importantly, it's about progress. How are we moving the needle for everyone within our city who wants to have that opportunity? So my campaign priority, one of the things that we're going to do moving forward is my campaign priority spotlight. So if you go to my website now, you'll actually see a listing of all the priorities that I have that I'm focusing on. Really, this has been based off of your feedback as individuals within the community. And you'll see I've got a survey, and at the end of this, definitely direct you an opportunity to participate in that survey. I'm gathering information directly back from citizens. Actually, the city of Norfolk right now is doing a survey for citizens, and I'll share that out on next Sunday because you want to make sure that your voice is heard. I appreciate the opportunities when you get those things out there, but you've got to reach people where they are. And so it's great we're doing these surveys, but being able to get into the community, share that information, and to hear those voices is most important as we move forward. So looking at the campaign priority spotlight, what I wanted to share today is about reimagining public safety, reimagining public safety. And so what my priority in its caption really says about, as your council member, I will work tirelessly to reimagine what public safety means to us. Together, we can enhance the relationship between our community and law enforcement, ensuring both safety and respect for all our residents. And guys, that's really the umbrella. And what I want to go over tonight is the actual nut and bolts and meat and potatoes, as you would say, of the heart of this. And I just want to kind of start off with sharing one thing, that this is something that's passionate about for me because it's something that I'm actually working in right now. For individuals who know about my background, I started in banking at Bank of America, made history in our city, becoming the first African American and the youngest at 24 years old to lead our Chamber of Commerce. Then I went into the nonprofit space, working with Norfolk Public Schools for about 9 years. And then I went into human services. I became a senior director with HR CAP, and then moving on to being a vice president with the STOP organization. So community action has been a large part of my life for about 6 years. And then leaving that space there, having a great opportunity to become the executive director of the Friends of the Portsmouth Juvenile Court. I am now working with juveniles through our CASA program, our Act Now, gang violence prevention program, community service, to really figure out how we can help youth. I serve on the school board, so you know that my heart and passion is about young people. How do we get them to know that when they make a mistake, that it's not the end of the world for them, but that mistake, you have an opportunity to rebound. And so what you're seeing here is that I had an opportunity to go to LA. I was in Los Angeles, California last week, attending the Gabby Giffords Community Violence Intervention Conference. And this was a remarkable opportunity. I ran into a couple folks from back home here, but also meeting individuals who are in community violence intervention activities throughout the country, Chicago, LA. But then you look at some smaller communities that were there, but looking at how we can be innovative, how we can look at different things to be able to move our communities forward. So I want to share some of the things, the way I look at this, as to what this thing means. How do we reimagine public safety, and what I would be advocating for, whether or not those things are in place right now, or there's things that I will continue to advocate for as your council member. So let's go ahead and let's take a dive at that. So the first thing I have here is enhanced community violence intervention program. So as I mentioned, I see the power, I understand the power of that. There's actually a study that's happening right now. That was a bill that was put forth in the General Assembly to look at the impact of community violence interrupters. Really what this is, it's using individuals who may have been involved in gangs, who may have been involved in crime within their communities. When you think about that in that respect, those individuals have a certain level of respect within the community, but they also have experience. And so they can speak. You can see a lot of different things. You'll hear about a shooting that happens, and the next day you hear there's another shooting that took place. 9 out of 10 times I can tell you that that shooting was probably retaliatory. Because they found out who it was. But violence interrupters they get in there, they get to on the ground, boots on the ground, to understand what's going on there, to prevent violence from taking place, or retaliatory violence. So what I really want to look at is how can we increase funding, support for local violence intervention groups and programs. Also want to foster relationships to establish organizations to expand the reach and impact. And that's both through local dollars, state, and as well as federal dollars. That's something I'll continue to advocate for. The next item that I have found here that I know is something that's out there. We need to establish mental health team within the Norfolk Police Department. I know that there are some things that are being advocated for and working towards, but we don't. I have personal experience with this one. A classmate of mine was killed a couple of years ago because he was having an episode where he had a knife, didn't have a gun, but rather than to shoot to maim, he was shot and killed. And I believe that in many cases, we have to be able to de-escalate those type of situations. And so one of the things I'm looking at here is how we can get a specially trained mental health professionals in the police department doing these particular disturbances that are the health disturbances that are taking place, but then also ensure individuals that are crisis receive appropriate care and intervention. That's important. So rather than escalating and heightening up with violence, or a gun with a knife, or a gun with another gun, how can we de-escalate those situations, and realizing that in many cases that individuals having a health crisis and treating it as a health crisis rather than using violent force. So that's one of the things that I'm looking at, how we can better train, or even get a particular division within the police department that can be able to better engage that. One of the other things that I'm looking at here is strengthening collaboration with city social and human services agencies. As I mentioned before, I've had 6 years of experience working in community action. That's really human services. That's working with individuals and working with partners to really look at that Maslow's law of hierarchy of self-actualization. That if you don't have a job, or if you can't provide a roof over your head, or food on the table, or a warmth of shelter, if you don't have a job, if you don't have good health, and you're not in good health, then how can we actually expect that individual to participate in the full benefits of the community? And so that's one of the things that I'm looking at when we look at this. How can we collaborate and not recreate the wheel, but how we can better collaborate within both city, social, and different human services organizations that are within. And we have a lot of different organizations. And before I left Community Action with Stop and came over to Friends, there was a new platform that was put in place, because one of the times a lot of red tape gets in the way. How can we cut down on some of that red tape so that when a person enters one organization, they can be able to, whatever their needs are when they're going through case management, they can be able to get the resources they need. So if they came in the door and it was about a housing situation, but you may also identify that they don't have a job or that they're bad health in some situation, being able to get in there and be able to support and providing those opportunities and resources is greatly important. So we want to improve the cooperation between police, social services, and nonprofit organizations so that our police officers who may be out in maybe supporting or acting on a particular call that may have happened, but you identify that there's some other needs that are there. How can we collaborate and strengthen those relationships so that we know that? Create a comprehensive safety net for residents experiencing crisis. And that's one of the things that I know with our social services and a lot of different other groups that we have there. We've got to continue that. I know we've been looking. When I was in LA, one of the things that I noticed a whole lot was about the respect that there was so much homelessness going on. And you all and you probably here have seen it in our own community. But our city has made some strides. They've got some transitional homes there, but we've got some great nonprofits. But how can we shoulder up and support those particular entities so that when individuals are unhoused, individuals who are experiencing crisis, how can we get them out of that level of crisis and get them to a stable position where we can get them and then most importantly, allow them an opportunity to be able to move forward. So I'm very focused on that. And that's where my experience comes in, working in human services, to understand that it's not about dollars and cents all the time. It's about meeting the needs of people and helping people get to where they need to be. And so how we can cut the red tape, how we can make sure that we deliver efficiently so that people get what they need in a timely manner. The other thing that I have here that I wanted to provide to you is looking at partnering with current as well as develop youth mentoring and engagement programs. Now, you know you weren't going to get on a call with me and not hear me talking about young people. But this is one of the things that's critically important. I'm glad when I heard about 2 years ago with the Norfolk Nighthawks coming back. I love when summer break comes, but I also dread when summer break comes. Because I realize that there are a lot of our youth, if they're not in a paid program or they're not participating in some type of community camp, their mom and dad didn't stop working. And so we have youth who are home or youth who are not engaged. And so I've been seeing more activations, more organizations that are getting involved. Our city is doing some more additional things, but we need to do more. We need to provide an environment where our young people can be positive, young people can be engaged. And so when we look at that, we want to expand initiatives that provide mentoring, exposure, and guidance to at-risk youth. And so I'm always going to be supportive of that. Doing that now when I'm on the school board, but I'll definitely be supportive sitting in the seat on city council and looking at when we're looking at budget, prioritizing the things that we say that are important to us. So we got to partner with our schools and our community organizations, and we got to provide positive alternatives to violence. One of the things that we have one of the opportunities that we have in Portsmouth that I'm working with Portsmouth Public Schools is our Turn program. And that's one of the programs we're looking at how we're using music to be able to engage young people and to take some of the things that they're experiencing, some of the thoughts that they have there and transitioning it and channeling it into a positive thing that they can create something out of it. So it's a lot of different things that are out there, but we've got to tap in. And we've got to elevate those particular programs to be able to support young people so that they don't, as you can say, an idle mind. If there's no sense of purpose there, that's when so many things happen. And so we want to make sure that we turn young people in the right direction away from the things that can get them in trouble. The other thing is invest in recreational centers and youth programming. Now, this is the thing, because again, I talked about dollars and cents. We have a model right now that has recreation centers throughout the city. And I know that the city is moving towards a Virginia Beach model that has more larger recreation centers that may even have libraries attached to them. And that's all fine. As long as we make sure that we have access. And access, so I'm talking about transportation from various different communities. I know that we have Vision Zero, where we're looking at making our city more pedestrian friendly. If we can do those things, then that model can definitely work. And that's something that I'll continue to advocate for. But we got to upgrade and build more recreation centers in our underserved areas, or in this particular model, making sure that we create access. We've got to increase funding for after school programs, sports leagues, and other cultural activities. We want our young people to be excited, but not just our young people. This is also a great opportunity for a lot of our seniors, creating opportunities for them through our senior citizens and through senior centers, and as well as some of the program that we put in place. And we got to establish more summer camps and workshops to keep kids engaged and active. And that's one thing I'll have to give credit. And I say more, not that we have to start, but we have a lot of things that are in place right now to continue to open lines of communication, collaboration across the city so that we can ensure that where there's no over duplication. But I also know that a lot of times the capacity is not there for nonprofits to be all things to all people. But it's great when you can come together and make an exponential impact in the lives of people. When you're doing your part there, that person's doing their part there, and you can come together to really make an impact, an exponential impact, as I would say it, in the lives of young people. So that's very, very important to me. One of the other things that I have here that I wanted to share and in that respect, in that vein, is form community safety task force. And I know we've got a lot of things that are there, but as the new incoming, if I'm elected, the new incoming Super Ward 7 member, I want to include new task force as well as I'm looking at things that have already been in place. But I feel like it is critically important that we have local community leaders, our civic activists, as well as residents develop tailored safety solutions. So working with our police department to ensure that your voices are heard there and that they're continuously heard as we move through and develop plans. We also have to promote community-led initiatives to address neighborhood-specific challenges. The police, elected officials can only do so much. It really requires the community standing up and being that voice. Being those eyes, being those ears, and building a relationship so that you know what who to call, or being able to use an app, or making sure that when you do that, that our police department and our public safety officials are responsive and they're timely in being able to address those needs. The other thing that I wanted to share with you in that respect also is looking at implement community policing strategies. And that was beginning to allude to that in that other one. And that's to encourage police officers to build stronger relationships with our community members. I have to give credit to Norfolk in that respect, that we have been doing community policing model for a long time. And I appreciate our new chief and what they're doing in community engagement, continue to do that. And if they need additional resources to do that, I believe that's important as a deterrent for violence within our communities. But also have to increase transparency and accountability within the police department. And I believe that we're on the right track for that. Just knowing that as your council member, I'll continue to be supportive not only of that with the police department, but also on council, being transparent and being accountable to the citizens of Norfolk. The last item that I have down there in that perspective one is increased investment in mental health resources. You heard me earlier mention about within the police department being able to have a special unit there. But I really feel like coming out of COVID, it really exasperated a lot of things. The Surgeon General just announced that cell phones is being labeled as a national health crisis. And working in public education, working with our schools, I can tell you, and you probably know at home, looking at your young person or your teenager, kids, like the babies come out and they know technology. But there is so much time that's spent on these devices during COVID, not really being able to have that social interaction, that there really are some individuals who are dealing with a lot more, but how can we provide resources to support? And I look at that within our schools. We've been advocating for that to make sure that we've got those counselors and individuals who can support. But then there's also individuals in the community. So our community services board, other different agencies that are within our city, making sure that we can meet those needs of individuals. And then providing resources around mental health education and awareness campaigns. I think that even those who aren't experiencing it, you may know someone who is. And so being able to identify and be able to see and recognize those individuals who are experiencing those mental health challenges, making sure that we've got resources that we can support them, so we can support them is vitally important, and it's something that I'll continue to advocate for. So expand education and career development opportunities. I think this is another great way. When we look at job training programs, I know that Norfolk has a workforce development opportunity, but then also looking at from an educational perspective, And this is something that I also champion for. I'm working with my fraternity right now and with others. I support the constitutional amendment for voter restoration rights for felons, nonviolent felons who have served their time. We want them to be involved. We want them to get back, reinstituted back into the community. We want them to be able to vote. We want them to be able to go to work. Um, that's vitally important. But it's also the same on the same frame for individuals who just need job training or giving them placement for our youth and young adults. Norfolk has done their nail program in the past, and I appreciate that. I think that's something that's great, and we need to continue to do that and figure out ways that we can collaborate with more business and industry in the community so that we can provide more internships and apprenticeships. That's also a major component on the public school side. That individuals, that our young people have that experience before they leave school, so they're readily prepared as they move forward after post graduation. One of the other things that I have under that one is promote safe and inclusive school environments. One of the things that you can get out of me serving on city council and having this experience on the school board is that I understand how there needs to be a collaborative partnership. It's not city council versus the school board, but it's coming together. Each body has a unique role and responsibility. City council is a fiscal agent responsible for generating a tax base, generating revenue to be able to support and fund public schools, while on the other side, the school board provides policy. It sets a budget. It sets those priorities. And they're along with the superintendent and their staff, they're the educational experts. But I want to ensure that we have safe and inclusive school environments. I know we've heard so much about fights and things that are going on, but what can we do on the policy side? But then also, what can we do to support Norfolk Public Schools implementing anti-bullying programs and conflict resolution? I'm a huge proponent on that restorative rights and restorative justice opportunities where young people aren't penalized for making a mistake, but they can understand from the mistake that they made how they can go about it differently and better. So we got to make sure that our schools also have the mental health professionals and resources. And I'll continue to advocate for that, not only on the local level, but also at the state level, because we have not fully funded. I appreciate the General Assembly and I appreciate our delegation for continuously fighting. Norfolk got a considerable amount of additional funds in, but we've got to continue to look at through the JLARC study, looking at what we are fully funding public education and what the true cost of public education is within the Commonwealth, and particularly as it affects here in Norfolk. And so kind of wrapping up in that one, we've got to engage with our community through regular town halls and forums. I'll continue to do things like these lives, going out to your civic leagues, quarterly chat and chew opportunities. I really want to hear from the community. That's one of the things that you can definitely see, that I'm not an individual that's going to tell you what you want to hear so I can get you out of my way, but really, how can I hear from you so that I can better go back and advocate on your behalf and be your voice within those rooms. And so at this time, if you actually have a question, there might be some folks that are still on there. You can place that in the live chat, and you can provide that information there. Putting a little question on you. So let's place that in there. So if you see that and it pops up on your, if you have some questions as we go forward, feel free to drop that in there, share that information with me. But the next thing I want to say is that you still have an opportunity. If you've got some additional priorities that you want to share or information that you want to bring forth to me, there's the QR code. You can take that there, scan your phone, or you can go to our website. That information is also presented, scrolling across down there, where you can take part. If you go to carlosclanton.com, carlosclanton4norfolk.com, you can actually participate in the survey, and I'll be able to get your information back there. So look, what's coming up? I think I talked about that, what's coming up here. And so look, I just want to remind you all again, this Sunday coming up, I will have my next live, and that again will begin every Sunday, and I'll begin to take a deep dive into some of our priorities, just like I did today, and not just giving you high level. People have asked, well, how do you intend to go about getting that done? And so I've never been a person that's I'm very strategic when I look at things, and so I'm not just going to give you something to say, hey, I'm going to do this, and not give you a pathway. But this is where I really need your support in providing that. So lock it in, get it on your calendar next Sunday. Come on out and participate with me there. And again, here's another opportunity. The Lindenwood, Cottage Heights, and Barad Park Civic Leagues are having a Super Ward 7 candidate forum, and that's going to take place next Tuesday. And that's going to be at 7 o'clock, and it's going to be at the Mount Olive Baptist Church. And I provided the address there for you. Feel free to show up. I think they wouldn't mind. But this will be an opportunity to hear candidates who are running, to hear about the differences in our platform, and an opportunity to ask questions. So this is what's coming up, and I hope that we'll be able to see you all there. And I'm getting close. I know I'm a little over time there. I want to encourage you, if you haven't already, to consider joining and becoming a part of my team. We're looking for volunteers. We're looking for individuals to be able to participate and support us as we move forward. And so I want to place this QR code up. So if you are looking to volunteer, you can sign up through that QR code, but you can also go to my website. And if you go to my website, you'll see a button there about volunteer, get involved, and engaged. We're starting to ramp up some of our engagement opportunities where we'll get out and talk to the community. It can be anything from a plethora of canvassing, text messaging, different things that we're going to be doing. But if you believe in my campaign, if you believe in having a strong advocate and a voice who will focus on the things that we all are concerned about, I'm your guy. And so I encourage you to sign up, go to the website, put your information in there, and become a part of the team and help us move forward. There are, and I don't think I mentioned it here, there are 6 individuals. I'm one of the 6, but I have 5 opponents this coming November. And so it's going to be vastly important and critical as we continue to move forward to ensure we get this message out. I am doing a new thing, I guess you can say, in that respect. Like you're seeing me do these lives. I'm going to do door-to-door knocking. I'm going to do text messaging. I'm going to be having some virtual town halls. I've been doing those already because this isn't about a thing. This is about how I can better serve the citizens of Norfolk, the residents of Norfolk, my neighbors, and how I can continue to be that strong voice and collaborative voice with the other members of council who can stand up, who can voice your opinions, but most importantly, be there as an advocate to continue to ensure that we move things moving forward. So look, I know I'm getting close to time there. I want to encourage you, if you haven't, engage. Go to my website. Go to carlosclanton4norfolk.com. If you haven't followed us on Facebook or Instagram, you can find me at C Clanton for Norfolk, as well as you can find me on Twitter, formerly, or X, formerly known as Twitter, as well as on Threads. You can see me at C Clanton for Norfolk. I want, again, engage with you all, be a part of this team as we continue to move forward, and let your voices be heard there. And also, again, if you want additional information and you've got your phone, feel free to scan for more information. We'll take you to our website, as well as if you would like to donate. It takes an amount of resources to ensure that we can get the message out, get our word out. And so if you have an opportunity and you're so inclined, it doesn't matter. I'm not looking, it'd be great. You got $1,000 contributions that are coming in there, but I want everyone to feel just even a $5, $10 contribution is important. And I value it just as much as I'd received $100 or $1,000. We need to show, and we're going to continue to show the momentum moving forward, that you have a great candidate and myself, who's going to carry your voice and moving forward. And so you're going to see some other opportunities to engage, and I hope that you'll come out. And so I just want to say thank you all for this opportunity. Thank you for engaging with me. I'm spending a little time. And if you weren't with me live, that's okay. Great. I appreciate you revisiting and watching this out here and looking at that information. If you got any questions, I'll also make sure that on the postings that you can also send your questions to me. You can send that through email as well. That's on my listing as well. But look, for everybody, I appreciate you. Again, I look forward to seeing you out. If you haven't, I'm going to actually post this up right now. I want to see everybody come out this coming Wednesday. We're going to actually have an opportunity where we're going to be at Ordinaire You can go there. Matter of fact, I'm pulling this up. This is events. So if you hit that QR code, and it'll take you there. But if you go to my website, just scroll down to the bottom, you'll also see an opportunity where you can sign up and be with us this coming Wednesday. Wednesday at Ordinaire, right after work at 5 o'clock. Come on over and join us for a great time there. And so with that, everybody, I say thank you. I appreciate you all spending time and hope you enjoy the rest